Okay, this one's starting out as a quotient. Excuse me. So when we take the derivative, we're going to use the quotient rule.
And you can't rearrange it, right? It's not factored on top and bottom.
So there's no division is not legal because it's not factored top and bottom. So the quotient rule, just say it out loud, please. Answer this question out loud. Which is more similar to multiplication? Add or subtract? Say it. Say it louder. Okay. This is how I memorize the two rules. I memorize the product rule first. I got, like we did before, the product rule is, let's see, derivative of f times g, second function, multiplied by derivative of the first, plus first function multiplied by derivative of the second. Okay, for the quotient rule, I just write down the exact same thing, except I put subtract. Because division is more like subtraction. Questions? Then there's a bottom part, because it's a quotient, so the rule has to be a quotient. So there's a g squared on the bottom. Chris?
On the, can we factor out the 2x on the bottom and then make it like the negative 2x?
2x on the bottom.
Or x squared, sorry. X squared.
So you have two terms here. You can do some rearranging, I think is what you're thinking.
Yeah.
2 points. My experience has been on the AP test, I'd say 99% of the time, so very rare, when I do something different. If they give me a quotient, I just leave it. Once in a while, I will rearrange. Like we did some on the yellow and the pink where we showed you how to rearrange. Even those on the yellow and pink, once I have learned the quotient rule, typically find them quicker to just use the quotient rule. There we go. So it's not always, but most time just leave it. So, excuse me. So I write down g multiplied by derivative of f minus f multiplied by derivative of g, all divided by g squared. Questions?
Well, where did the first x squared plus 1 come from?
So we're using the quotient rule. So again, the f you see here is not the f you see here.
Yeah.
So what are we considering g to be?
The x squared plus 1.
Good. So I wrote down g, x squared plus 1,
Okay.
because here's the rule. See it?
Oh, okay, okay. I see.
You good now?
Yeah.
That's the point. There we go. There we go, okay. Everyone's waving. Talk to me.
I'm not sure if I understand what's happening with that.
Say it louder, sorry.
I'm just not sure. I don't know what, like, a specific question because I'm not sure if I understand.
It's okay. Just go back to the beginning. So here's our formula we start with. And you okay with taking the derivative of both sides?
Yes.
So that's what we've been, same thing as all the other 80 problems. The idea is if you start with a formula for f, and you take the derivative of both sides, you're creating a formula for f prime. So you look here and you look at all your rules. Well, we could use the e rule on the top, but we would be ignoring the bottom. Same thing, we could use the addition rule on the bottom, and we'd have to ignore the top. The only rule that allows us to look at all of it is this one. So we have to think of, hey, we're taking the derivative of a quotient fraction. So again, the f you see here is not the f here. So we just need to make new assignments. So what would you call f in this case? So it's the whole function that's on the top. So just like you have here, a function divided by a function. Here, the function on the top is e to the 2x. So that's the f. And what would you call the g? That feel okay? Okay. Sorry about the voice. Look. So the quotient rule says this here can be written differently. Quotient rule just breaks it up into smaller pieces. So we write down g multiplied by the derivative of f. d dx means derivative of f. And it's minus, write down the f, then d dx of the g. All divided by the g squared. Better? 3 points. Good work. Down 4. Anybody else? Don't hate. It's super important that you speak up, so just speak up. Very good? Cool. Okay, right here. Oh, I made a mistake on the purple. Hands up. What's the error? If you write what I wrote on the purple, you will lose a point. What is wrong with how I've written the purple? And I get all my errors from just watching students, so it's something I've seen lots of people do. So points for all. Paisley.
The parentheses are on the x squared plus 1.
So right here, how many saw it? 2 points, 3 for Paisley. So next line, this side is still f prime. This doesn't change. There's no d dx. Now I have the e rule. Derivative of e to the something is e to that same something multiplied by derivative of that something. Just wave at me if you need me to talk through that more. Minus e to the 2x. Okay, after 80 problems, I think many of you, if not all, can do this without any extra writing. So to save writing, just raise your hand. What's this going to become? There we go. Yeah, the 80 problems really help. It gets you to the point where you can start taking some shortcuts. So, Mary?
2x.
How many knew it? 2 points. 3 for Mary. Questions? Anyone need to see more detail here? I can show it if you need to. Just wave at me. Anyone need to see the detail that went on in our head? Write it down if you need it. Okay. Don't expand the bottom. Okay? Do not expand the bottom. And hey, don't do this for sure. X squared squared is x to the 4th. 1 squared is 1. But that is completely wrong, illegal, false, fake, bogus, dumb. Don't do that, okay? So just don't, that's wrong, you can't do that. If you were to expand the bottom, you'd have to square it out. So just don't, just leave it alone. Questions?
Wait, so what's
please.
the problem with expanding?
So it's legal to expand, but something squared means this. X squared plus 1, 2 for Chris, multiplied by x squared plus 1. So you have to go, this times this.
Oh, and then we're just going to factor it, back out.
Yeah, we don't really want to do that. The other thing I wrote down was completely wrong. Like this is just wrong. don't do that. So. Other questions? Okay, I want you to vote. This means yes, this means no. So finger is, 1 is yes, 0 no. Look here. Is it legal to divide x squared plus 1 with x squared plus 1? Yes? No. Vote. Okay, everybody for voting. Right or wrong, you get paid.
Wait,
Yes?
what?
Is it legal to divide x squared plus 1 with x squared plus 1? If you like to look at your friends, it's fine. So 1 is yes, 0 is no. Show me. Somebody had 1 in the room. Like, no way. Oh my goodness. Okay, so everybody give yourself 2 points. Answer this one, please. Raise your hand, please. Actually, just say it out loud. Say yes or no. Is the top factored? Yes or no? Say it.
No.
Got it?
No.
Good work. So we've got big term minus term. If the top is not factored, you can't divide. Unless you're dividing the entire top all at once. So this little piece of the top cannot divide. You can only divide if you're dividing factors. So the top must be factored, the bottom must be factored, then you can divide. Questions? Oh, please, Julia.
So in other words, does that mean like if you have 2 factors or adding or subtracting, is that the same thing you can't divide? Is that another way to say it?
Close. So when 2 things are adding, the math word is term. So we have a big old term minus another term, no division. I can't divide. I can only divide if the top is factored and the bottom is also factored, and I'm dividing factors. Does that make sense? Good work. 2 points.
Only 1 term on the top.
There's 2 terms on the top. Here's a term, here's another term. Or you can think of the top as being one gigantic factor, which you can only divide if you're taking the top being factored and the bottom being factored and you're dividing factors. So as written, yes, if I had this huge factor on the bottom, I could divide. But this is not a factor of the numerator, so I can't divide. Even though this is a factor of the denominator. Next step. Hands up. What's this? Hands. Come on. What's this? Hands. What's this one? What's this one? Yes, Sarah?
Just 2.
How many knew it? 2 points. 3 for Sarah. Okay, questions? Okay, on the written section of the AP test, you would stop here, and you'll receive full credit. But on the multiple choice, the answers won't look like that, so we have to go farther. Okay, this numerator is made up of one big. Okay, now answering Justin's question, look, it's partly a matter of perception. Like, it's legal to look at this part here and say I have 2 terms adding, okay? But when I think of the entire numerator, I cannot think of it as 2 terms adding. I have to think of it as this term added to this term. So what we call a term and what we call a factor is somewhat flexible. Depends on our purpose, like what are we looking at? So looking at the entire numerator, I have 1 large term plus another large term. Do we need me to talk more about that? Okay, each term is made up of several factors which are multiplying to create each term. So hands up. What are the factors which are multiplying to create this term? Hands. Come on. What are the factors which are multiplying to create that term? Hands up. Rachel.
It's the x squared plus 1, then 2, then e to the 2x.
How many knew it? 2 points, 3 for Rachel. We need more discussion there. Wave at me. Okay, the second term is also made up of factors. Hands up. What are the factors which make up the second term? Come on, hands. What are the factors which make up the second term? Let's go, Luke.
Negative e to the 2x and 2x.
How many knew it? 2 points, 3 for Luke. So, like we said earlier, that's good grammar. We're going to factor out, we sure is gonna do it. All right. So we sure is gonna factor out the 2 and the e to the x. Questions? Perfect. When we take this large term, divided by these two factors, this is the only factor which remains. You would need more discussion on that. Oh, please. Oh, thank you. How many saw it? 2 points, 3 for Kennedy. Minus just x. Questions?
Did you just find the two terms, or find which these are in the common fault route?
Yeah, that's all you're doing. Is you're saying, hey, I'm going to take away these two terms. This is the only term. These two factors. This is the only factor that remains. Same thing there. Please.
So to find the greater common factor, did you take the 2 away from the x and put it in front of the e to get rid of the 2 and 2x?
I didn't do anything with the x.
No, it's also it's because you have the 2e, 2x, right? That's your greatest common factor. So on the left side it's 2e, 2x. On the other side it's e, 2x, and then 2x.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
just move the 2 in front of the e.
Yes. Because remember, 2 points. Hey, when the factors are being multiplied, the order doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Call. Please, Julie.
Would you need parentheses around the x squared plus 1 or no?
So right here, all eyes up. Come on, look close. The way you can determine whether parentheses are essential or not is if you put them in, just say yes or no, please. Is there anything here that is applied to those two parentheses? Yes or no? There's nothing there. There's nothing here either. So nothing is affecting the parentheses, so you don't need them.
If you would have put that,
It doesn't hurt anything. Yeah, 2 for Julia. Okay, vote. This is yes, this is no. Can I divide x squared plus 1 with x squared plus 1? This is yes, this is no. Bring yourself 2 for voting. Answer yes or no for me. Is the numerator factored? Yes or no? Hand. Say it out loud, please. Is the numerator factored? Yes or no?
yes.
Good. Is the denominator factored? Yes or no?
Yes.
Louder?
Yes.
Good. Hands up. What are the factors of the numerator? Hands. What are the factors of the numerator, Charles?
2, e to 2x, and then the parentheses.
How many knew that those were the 3 factors of the numerator? 2 points. 3 for Charles. Hands up. What are the factors of the denominator? Hands. Come on. What are the factors of the denominator? Kylie?
X squared plus 1 and x squared plus 1.
X squared plus 1 and another x squared plus 1. We knew that? 2, 3 for Kylie. So, top is factored, bottom is factored, but we don't have any factors that match. So I can't divide. Questions? We need to talk through that more. That's a huge one. The division being legal. So make sure you're good with it. So we're done. That should match the answer in the back. Question? Anybody talk about any of those steps? Okay, cool. Next one.